1 year ago, I could barely switch from the G chord to the C chord without stopping. Today, I can pick up the guitar and actually kind of play something that sounds like music. This video is what that year really felt like, what actually happened, and what I would do differently if I could start over again. I've been wanting to start guitar for a couple years. I would always pick up the guitar, play it for a couple weeks, and then put it down, and that cycle just repeated over and over again. At the end of 2024, I thought enough was enough, and it was time to pick up the guitar and commit to it. I wanted it to be part of my identity that I could stick with this thing. I had 3 rules for keeping myself consistent. 1, I would practice 15 minutes per day. Just at least 15 minutes. If I wanted to practice more, that was good, but at least 15 minutes, that was the baseline. 2 was that I would practice 6 days per week, with having either Saturday or Sunday off, preferably with Sunday. I did this because I'd be able to look forward to a day of the week where I didn't have to practice, and it would just be a nice break. And the 3rd rule was that for the first 2 weeks of the year, I just wanted to practice with the most minimal gear, just a guitar pick and my guitar. I wanted to do this because I wanted to prove that you don't really need extra gear to accomplish something, just the minimal stuff and just your consistency. At the same time, I wanted to document my experience by uploading a video each month on YouTube of that month's guitar experience. I thought it would be a good way to look back on everything that I learned, and I enjoy making videos, so it could be just an additional thing that I could do. The overarching goal that I had in my mind for that year was that by the end of it, I wanted to be able just to pick up the guitar and just mess around with it. So what actually happened? So this is kind of like the timeline that I had in my head. I thought I would be strumming chords in the first 2 months. I thought I would finish my exercise book by at least the 6th month. And at the end of the year, like I said before, I wanted to be able to pick up the guitar and just strum with it. Sadly, out of all of this timeline in my head, it did not kind of go to plan. In reality, by the end of the year, progress was slower than I had imagined. I finished the first guitar book, but at the end of the year, not the 6-month mark. I didn't learn exactly how to transition between open chords in 2 months. It took longer, about 4 to 5 months. But this consisted of a lot of different chords, like A minor, D minor, D major. And when I do it now, it's pretty fast, but it just took a long time, a really long time. With the exercise book that had about 100 exercises, it just took a long time to learn each exercise. I was really meticulous on it, and I didn't want to cut any corners, and I used the metronome all the time when playing, and I always, for each exercise, I wanted to get to about like 160 BPM, and that took some time, but you know, I slowly developed progress, and I feel really confident with being able to play single notes at the bottom of the fretboard. And with the goal that I had of being able to pick up the guitar and just kind of mess around, I can do that. Like, I can play chords, I can kind of play a little bit of some scales. My range isn't that wide of what I can do, but I can do a hell of a lot more than what I could do a year ago, and that's awesome. So let's talk about how the progress went during the year. Honestly, there wasn't really a month where I jumped in skill. It was more of just a steady climb the whole time. I kind of thought that's how it would be at the beginning of the year, and that's how it was. Like, just practicing my exercise book. The exercises got gradually harder, but not super hard to where I had to practice them like a lot. Like, doing this day to day, nothing really changed in my progress, nothing that I could visibly tell. But then if I went back and looked at last month or 2 months ago, all that progress compounded, and I'm way different. I can really visibly see the progress. Alright, let me say a few more words about my practice schedule. If you were to look at my week, I would say the most consistent would be just practicing every day and practicing the same amount of time every day. It's like practicing for 1 hour, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The time of day wasn't always consistent. It could have been early in the morning or late at night, but with my 15-minute rule, I was always able to kind of work with myself to be able to practice, because there was a lot of times I didn't want to practice, especially if it was late at night. I was like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow, I'll go to bed. But I said that I'm going to practice for at least 15 minutes, and I did do that. It made me consistent. It gave me a small win that helped with my mentality, because that's really what I needed the most. That's what discouraged me in the past from sticking with the guitar. With those cycles that I talked about, I would always just kind of drift off because I wasn't consistent. But if I was able to do at least a little bit of practicing each day, I would continue to practice and practice and practice, and that would help, and then eventually just became a habit. Like, it felt weird if I didn't practice the guitar each day. Now, if I could go back to day one, I would tell myself a couple of things. First, don't really focus on the exercise book. Start practicing chords right away and practicing those transitions. It's going to be more useful to you, especially if you want to learn songs, because a good majority of songs are just chords. 2, when you use a metronome, go painfully slow and then speed up. Don't go fast right away. Going slow is going fast, even though it's kind of counterintuitive. Doing this will let your hand perfect its technique of hitting every note right, and then you do that faster and faster and faster and it'll speed up. But you need to do it slow so that it can catch up. 3, I would tell myself to keep my expectations at the same level with how much practice I put in. If I'm only putting 30 to 40 minutes per day, there's only a certain level that I can get to in a year, and I need to realize that and keep that in my head. I would watch other yearly progressions of guitar videos, and people be accelerating way faster than me at playing the guitar, and I was comparing myself to them, and then I realized that they were putting like 2 to 3 hours in. So how much time that you put in per day really matters. I think if I did it over again, I would put chords first, then bar chords, and then just play songs or riffs of things that I like, because that's really what the majority of the reason that I wanted to play guitar. I enjoyed doing the exercise book because that gave me structure, and I did not have to think about each day of what I was going to play when I sat down. But it wasn't really necessary for a 1-year challenge of trying to learn the guitar. Like, learning the chords and different songs would have been more beneficial in the long run of what I wanted to do. Now, I don't want it to seem like I didn't learn anything and this whole year was a waste. It wasn't. Like, let me tell you some of the skills that I did learn. First, I can quickly play single notes in open position. That's just because I've completed about 100 exercises and, really meticulously worked around there. Another thing that I mentioned before is that I got really good at strumming and switching between different chords, especially without breaking the rhythm. This is because, again, I use a metronome. Now, if I want to pick up any kind of song that uses open chords, I can just switch between them really quickly and I don't have to practice it. And the third skill that I got better at, and I think this is just anybody who plays the guitar for a long time will get, is just my fingers are stronger and I can do stuff around the guitar more. Like, even stuff that I haven't really practiced, I could do it a tiny bit better than when I didn't have any experience with the guitar. Now, in the last part of the video, let's talk about what actually worked for progress, and I'll tell you things that you can take away if you're trying to practice guitar or if you're about to pick up the guitar and practice. Number 1 is using a metronome. I talked about it before throughout this whole video, but it really helped me keep on a steady groove and accelerate. Just going up 5 or 10 BPM once you feel confident enough really helps becoming better. Another piece of advice would be practicing exercises or songs that are around your skill level and just a little bit above your skill level. Not something that is super duper hard. Look, if you want to jump to a song or a riff that's way above what you can currently play, but you really have the passion to want to play it, go for it. My advice though is try to work yourself up to it. There's a real risk of burning yourself out when you try to play a piece or an exercise that's super hard just because you have to really learn all the different concepts that you don't know, versus just playing something that's a little bit harder but makes you learn just one concept that you don't know. My third piece of advice would be to have some kind of structure or plan. You might go to practice the guitar and not have a plan on what to work on. I think this can lead a lot of people to just not play and leave the lonely guitar in the corner because they don't even know what to do. There's a lot of friction to picking up the guitar. My advice would be to have some kind of structured plan and goal. This could take shape of completing an exercise book, exercise by exercise, or trying to learn a song stage by stage. Or if your goal is just to mess around with the guitar, then let that be the goal and have an amount of time that you want to do that each day. Just have some kind of plan, keeps you coming back and practicing the guitar and not leaving it to just randomness. My last piece of advice, which might seem counter to everything I've said before in this video, is just do anything that makes you come back to play the guitar. If you don't like to use the metronome, then don't use the metronome. If you don't want to play an exercise book, then don't play an exercise book. If you don't want to play songs, then don't play songs. Like, if you are just someone who wants to pick it up and try to create some music, or if you just really want to learn an AC/DC song, then just do that. All my advice is just recommendation of what helped me during my process, but you don't really have to follow my advice if you don't want to. It's all up to you. Whatever keeps you playing is what you should keep doing. That's the best advice. So that's the end of the video. I enjoyed playing the guitar for 1 year, learned a lot. It's a really cool instrument to play. It's my favorite instrument now, and I recommend it. It was a really cool challenge to do for this last year, and this next year I'm going to be doing strength training. I've really wanted to gain some weight, and I think this year's a perfect opportunity. I'll probably start doing that in about a month or so, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and then I'll keep uploading videos month by month, and you can check out the progress. All right, thanks.